In the past, the world was at peace, until the day the sky itself began to crack. A malevolent red eye peered down from another realm. The Demon King invaded, unleashing countless monsters. But humanity had defenders who stood against them. They were the divine knights, servants of God. Through a vow, they gained supernatural power to fight back. But a demonic miasma lingered in the world. Those corrupted by it either died, or were twisted into something monstrous. The survivors became demons themselves. These new demons preyed on the innocent. A village is massacred, a head rolling to a stop. A knight arrives, but he is too late. This is Kieran, vice commander of the 9th branch. He surveys the carnage, bodies strewn everywhere. His subordinate reports a terrible omen, a red moon. The red moon signals a powerful demon's arrival. They trace the energy to a ruined building nearby. Inside, the red moonlight pours down like a torrent. Kieran freezes, sensing something unexpected. In the center of the demonic energy is a human. Not just a human, it's a baby. 15 years later, the world has found a fragile peace. This is an orphanage run by the Divine Knights. During lunch, a boy starts a confrontation. We meet Laika, the kid with the smallest portion. The other boy just feigns ignorance. Laika quickly backs down, saying it's nothing. He sits alone, isolated from the others. An outcast in a room full of children. This is our main character, Laika. He was the sole survivor of a demon attack. His survival and birthmark make others suspicious. They believe he is a monster, so they feed him leftover garbage. A bully taunts him with the scraps. Every orphan here lost their family to demons. The bully calls over a new, younger child. The little boy is still crying, having just arrived. His parents were killed by a shape-shifting monster. The bully turns the boy's grief against Laika. He's surrounded and ordered to apologize. Laika insists he's human, but the boy is distraught. The grieving child screams, "You monster." The bully uses it as an excuse to strike. He pins Laika down, demanding an apology. Laika is helpless on the floor, utterly defeated. Broken, he finally whispers an apology. Later, he's left to clean the mess alone. For over a decade, this has been his life. But there is one way out of this hell. In 5 days, the selection test begins. He can't stand this place a moment longer. He will escape and become a divine knight. The day arrives, the selection ceremony begins. All 15-year-olds are summoned to the cathedral. Laika steps forward with the other candidates. The bully sneers that a monster can't pass. A priest explains the test of the sacred chalice. If the liquid turns gold, you become a knight. But the vow requires a great sacrifice. This is their only chance to change their fate. The priest gives a final, chilling warning. The first candidate steps up to make his vow. The other children watch on with bated breath. It's the bully vowing to avenge his sister. He watched a monster devour her before his eyes. Now he swears to kill every last one of them. A divine power seems to answer his call. Golden light erupts, filling the entire hall. His wish is granted, but at a terrible cost. He drinks the blessed liquid from the chalice. Divine power surges through his entire body. He can feel the power overflowing from his core. The other candidates can only stare in awe. The next boy vows to abandon his found family. The chalice accepts his noble sacrifice. One by one, the others make their vows. Each one is met with a flash of golden light. Hope fills the hall as more children pass. Laika steels himself, determined to succeed. Finally, the priest calls for the next person. It's Laika's turn to face the sacred chalice. He vows to become a knight to protect people, but his words trail off into silence. He realizes he has nothing to sacrifice. The others had something to give up for their wish, but he has nothing, no one to offer. A voice urges him to offer something from within. Suddenly, a dark power erupts from his body. He collapses, confused by the strange sensation. Something is being forcibly drawn from him. He stumbles back from the altar in pain. The chalice overflows with a foul purple sludge. The entire hall gasps at the horrific sight. The priest recoils from the ominous purple sludge. He panics, declaring the ceremony is over. But Laika insists his trial isn't finished yet. Suddenly, a flash of golden light cuts the air. One of the other candidates loses an arm. Blood splatters across Laika's shocked face. The boy glares, blaming him for corrupting the chalice. He snarls that Laika is a monster after all. Laika can only stare back in utter terror. The newly empowered children vow to kill him. They advance, glowing with divine energy. The mob surrounds our boy, ready to strike. The priest screams that their power isn't for humans, but a greater threat smashes through the ceiling. Everyone freezes, looking up in disbelief. A massive demon crashes down into the hall. It lands with devastating force, shattering the floor. The priest identifies the horrifying creature. The demon examines its own bloody, mangled hand. He orders an immediate evacuation to call for knights. But something grabs him from the shadows. He's violently dragged into the darkness. A second, faster demon reveals itself. Laika looks up as debris plummets toward him. The second demon is a true monster. A candidate with a gauntlet shoves Laika aside. A voice declares his wish has been granted. The faster demon seizes him from behind. He's lifted into the air, begging for his life. The other candidates rally to fight back. A glowing boy charges the larger demon. Laika is paralyzed by the sheer carnage. The demon catches the boy with ease. Two more are instantly impaled and killed. Their divine power is useless against this creature. Meanwhile, the second demon corners another boy. A horrifying second mouth emerges from its throat. Its glowing eye locks onto its prey. The candidate gives in to despair. But Laika's eyes fall on the chalice, the source of all this chaos. A desperate idea begins to form. He grits his teeth, tears in his eyes. He snatches the chalice from the altar. He'd rather risk anything than die here. An unknown power floods his system. The demon's attack halts inches from its prey. Laika now stands directly in its path. A shockwave of purple energy erupts. The demon shrieks, its attack repelled. Laika is the source of this new power. His eyes burn with an unholy flame. He can't comprehend what's happening to him. He wonders what has just occurred. Looking down, he sees a new body. His entire form feels strangely cold, but an immense power overflows from within. The second demon roars, preparing to strike, but Laika easily dodges its furious assault. He turns his attention to the larger monster. He sprints up its massive tentacle. His arms crackle with raw energy. He closes the distance in an instant. A magic circle forms in his palm. With tears in his eyes, he unleashes it. He shoves the explosive spell forward. The demon's head is engulfed in light. The creature is completely obliterated. Laika lands, the power already fading. The boy he saved now has white hair. He collapses under an immense pressure. The glowing candidate stands over him. The candidate is furious, unable to believe his eyes. Laika stares at his own hand, his severed arm now restored. He looks up, completely lost and confused. Suddenly, a colossal sword smashes down from the heavens. The blade shrinks, transforming into an elegant weapon. A new figure appears, explaining the danger of demon miasma. A red-haired woman stands atop the sword's hilt. She asks Laika if he was the one who won. Her gaze is sharp, her expression intrigued. Laika recognizes the legendary Divine Knights. The woman smiles, impressed by our boy. She praises him for his remarkable feat. She is Arthur, commander of the Divine Knights. Laika is awestruck by the power of a real knight. Commander Arthur turns as her name is called. The rest of her squad finally catches up. She coolly tells them they were too slow. Our boy stares at the commander, a plan formed. He realizes this is his one chance. If she acknowledges him, he can leave the orphanage. He scrambles towards her, desperate to be heard. He bows deeply, confessing his dream to be a knight. With all his heart, he begs to join them. But the candidate screams for them to kill the monster. The candidate accuses Laika of being a monster. But the Divine Knights are watching him closely. The boy insists Laika transformed without a vow. Laika tries desperately to deny the accusation. One of the knights simply flicks his finger. The candidate is sent flying across the courtyard. He tumbles hard onto the stone ground. Arthur reminds him that Laika saved his life. The bully is reduced to a blubbering mess. Laika stares, completely baffled by the scene. He asks what she meant about the vow. He explains the demon attacked mid-ceremony. He believes the chalice gave him a knight's power. But Arthur tells him that's impossible. A cold sweat runs down Laika's neck. She demands to know who he made his vow with. He stammers, admitting he never made one. The commander's expression remains unreadable. She grabs his head, intrigued by his strange power. She wants him to demonstrate it for her. But Laika panics, having no clue how to use it. He awkwardly tries to explain his situation. Arthur sighs, deciding to take matters into her own hands. She suddenly grabs him and slings him over her shoulder. Without warning, Arthur hurls him into the sky. Laika tumbles helplessly, thousands of feet in the air. She yells for him to show her his power. If he can't, she'll simply let him fall. Her own knight calls her a demon for this test. Laika screams, plummeting back towards the ground. Pure terror fills his eyes as he falls. He knows he has to use that thing or die. Suddenly, a colossal winged beast appears. Laika stares in utter disbelief. The knights identify it as a deadly sky-eater bird. In an instant, the creature swallows him whole. The blue-haired knight moves to help, but Arthur stops him. She says this is the perfect chance to see Laika's power. He can only grit his teeth at her cruelty. The Sky-Eater flies away with Laika inside. He finds himself inside the monster's stomach. The remains of past victims float around him. Refusing to die, a strange power awakens. A dark energy begins to radiate from his body. But the stomach itself has its own defenses. Horrific parasites emerge from the fleshy walls. One lunges, ready to devour him. A memory flashes, a man's final, terrified moments. The parasite looms over a terrified Laika. He curses the knights and the orphanage. The monster lunges, its maw wide open. But he refuses to die in this hell. A dark power explodes from within him. He groans, struggling to control the surge. A massive, shadowy wing erupts from his back. The energy spirals into a violent vortex. Below, Arthur and her knight simply wait. He questions her recklessness, but she has a goal. She must know if his power is an asset. Suddenly, the Sky Eater shrieks in agony. Laika's power erupts, tearing the beast apart. His transformed body plummets from the sky. The two knights watch him fall. He crashes into the ground with incredible force. The blue-haired knight rushes to his side. He finds Laika dazed but alive. The knight is relieved to see him unharmed. He admits Laika's power is vice commander level. Arthur recalls a baby he saved 15 years ago. The knight had defied orders to protect him. He is Kieran, a divine knight's commander. Kieran says it might have been better if Laika died then. Arthur's voice cuts through Kieran's thoughts. The boy will be taken in, his power monitored. She stands before the ruins of the orphanage. They can't afford to be picky with their forces. Humanity, she says, is running out of time. Elsewhere, a blue-haired boy confronts some thugs. He glares back, scarred but unafraid. The leader scoffs, this is their territory. He draws his sword, ready for a fight. The entire group lunges at the boy. In a flash, their blades hit nothing. The thug is stunned, the boy just vanished. He reappears behind them, speaking softly. They turn to see him with a group of kids. He crouches, shielding the terrified children. A dangerous red light glows in his eye. The thugs are frozen in absolute terror. They surround him, baffled by his speed. An archer takes aim and fires a bolt. But once again, the boy disappears. They frantically search for his location. He reappears in the air before them. Another crossbow is aimed and ready. A massive bolt hurtles straight for him. The bolt is met by a blinding explosion. The thugs can only stare in utter shock. A new figure emerges from the pink light. He lands softly on the scorched earth. His form has changed, radiating immense power. He vows to end this fight quickly. They realize they're not fighting a boy. In a flash, he tears through them. The entire group is defeated in an instant. But he senses something is still wrong. He screams a warning into the woods. A new enemy holds a child hostage. The man threatens to kill her if he moves. The kidnapper is sweating, clearly terrified. But a blade is already at his throat. The boy teleported right behind him. The other children watch in stunned silence. He moved too fast for the eye to see. The cold steel draws a line of blood. His expression remains cold and unmoving. He lowers his hand, understanding the situation. He agrees to back off for the children's safety. But the man refuses, calling them merchandise. He reveals they're orphans meant for monster food. The man sneers about their horrible fate. His cruel laughter is cut short. A whip of pure energy lashes out, searing the man's arm in burning light. The limb is torn clean from his body. He kept his promise not to move closer. The kidnapper's body falls to the ground. He's surprised by his own new abilities. He reaches out to the terrified child, but his monstrous form is scaring her. The little girl finally breaks down in tears. He towers over her, a fearsome sight. The immense power begins to fade. He returns to his normal self to comfort her, but the transformation's toll finally hits. He collapses, completely drained of energy. The scene shifts to a grand city building. A man in a white cape stands watch. He turns, sensing an unexpected arrival. His calm demeanor shatters in an instant. The children are dragging the unconscious boy. He's completely out, drooling in his sleep. The man looks down, utterly bewildered. They explain he saved them and passed out. The man carries the unconscious boy on his shoulder. He's already earned himself a demerit. He carries him towards the grand headquarters. Inside, a council of figures awaits his report. Fran, the second branch chief, is immediately smitten. Her deputy Kenneth is far less impressed. The fourth branch chief finds his exhaustion pathetic. The sixth branch deputy heard rumors of a monster. A voice from the throne calls them out. The red-haired leader declares his observation will continue. They'll expect to see more growth from him. The next morning at Night Order headquarters, a magnificent feast is laid out before him. Our boy wakes up to an unbelievable sight. He can't believe this is all for him. He doesn't waste a second, devouring everything. He nearly chokes from eating so fast. A kind maid offers him a glass of water. She tells him to relax, no one will steal it. He's stunned by this simple act of kindness. He sees others eating peacefully around him. He remembers his past of broken, meager meals. No more beatings or being forced to eat trash. He's so glad he joined the Night Order. A voice suddenly calls out to him. He's confronted by a stern-faced knight. The man's gaze is cold and unimpressed. Ryuka, our boy, confirms his name. The stranger leans in, staring him down. Ryuka is completely bewildered by the intrusion. With a huff, the man turns away. He insults Ryuka, calling him an idiot. He orders Ryuka to follow to prove his worth. Ryuka jumps up, demanding to know who he is. The man introduces himself as Kenneth. He is the vice commander of the second branch. Ryuka is stunned by his high rank. Kenneth then turns to the kind maid. He reveals her true identity, Branch Commander Fran. Ryuka can't believe what he's hearing. The helpful maid is a powerful commander. Now in uniform, Fran leads them away. Ryuka's mind is completely reeling from the shock. She reassures him, telling him not to worry. Their goal is for everyone to return safely. He nervously agrees, still in a daze. Fran seems carefree, almost too relaxed for a leader. Ryuka still can't believe she's someone important. Fran cheerfully begins the mission briefing. A monster sighting was reported near the capital. This mission is a chance to test Ryuka's skills. The commanders have been debating his future. Ryuka is stunned this is an evaluation. He panics, fearing he'll lose his new life. But Fran reassures him with a gentle touch. She's heard great things about his abilities. Her words of encouragement echo in his mind. A spark of confidence ignites within him. He boasts that fighting monsters will be easy. Kenneth immediately reminds him of his recent failure. The stakes are clear, prove his worth or be expelled. And Kenneth already expects him to fail. Ryuka completely loses his temper. He screams at Kenneth for his arrogance. Fran cheerfully breaks up the argument. She explains Kenneth's brutal honesty is due to a covenant. Ryuka is confused by the word covenant. Then a horrifying thought strikes him. He asks if Kenneth truly thinks he's an idiot. Kenneth changes the subject, his tone serious. He asks if Ryuka has made a covenant yet. Ryuka defensively asks what it matters. Kenneth explains a covenant is the price for power. The greater the sacrifice, the greater the reward. Ryuka snaps that he already knows the rules. But Kenneth suddenly draws his weapon. He presses the gun to Ryuka's head. In the Night Order, life is cheap. A third of all recruits die within months. The harsh reality sinks in for our boy. Kenneth's cold eyes stare him down. He asks if Ryuka is prepared to sacrifice anything. The barrel of the gun gleams menacingly. Ryuka is frozen, cornered by the question. Fran tries to intervene, but Ryuka speaks. He admits he hasn't made a covenant. Then a fierce power erupts from his body. He grabs the gun, his hand glowing with energy. He remembers the commander who saved him. He escaped a hellish life for this chance. He doesn't care about the rules or covenants. He'll cling to this new life with everything he has. Kenneth is stunned by his raw determination. Ryuka's power overwhelms his divine arts tool. Fran steps between their clashing auras. She cheerfully praises their fighting spirit. Fran declares the real test begins now. The three knights stand ready in the forest. Suddenly, countless red eyes appear in the dark. Ryuka and Kenneth are caught completely off guard. Fran tells them to channel that energy into work. The ground collapses, dropping them into a monster's maw. He grits his teeth, reacting in a split second. He grabs Kenneth, blasting them to safety. Kenneth catches him, identifying the beast as a demon. The demon lured them here as a trap, but Ryuka's power begins to fade. He's exhausted from his earlier outburst. The demon's tongue whips out to attack. It ensnares both of them in a tight grip. Ryuka struggles furiously, but he's powerless. Then a figure descends from the sky. Our boy can only stare in disbelief. Fran dives in with a confident smile. She scolds the demon for its bad manners. She readies her massive spoon-like weapon. Her divine arts tool glows with immense power. She plunges it straight through the demon's head. The strike is clean, precise, and devastating. The demon's body is launched into the sky. Her divine power takes a new, sharper form. It intercepts the demon's falling body. A storm of slashes tears through the sky. The beast is shredded into nothingness. On the ground, the tongue finally goes limp. Fran lands softly near the captured boys. She apologizes for her late arrival. She sensed the demon but hoped it would hide. Ryuka and Kenneth are utterly speechless. Fran teases them for getting so cozy. They both shout back in embarrassment. She unwraps the severed tongue from them. Ryuka, now free, stares at his savior. He's completely mesmerized by her strength. She destroyed that monster without any effort. He realizes she is on another level entirely. But then Fran begins to pray. She explains this is a ritual for the fallen. This demon, she reveals, was once human, a person corrupted by immense magic energy. Kenneth, however, finds the situation odd. A demon this powerful shouldn't be here. Its appearance so close to the capital is suspicious. Suddenly, Fran spots a dark, glowing stone. Fran suddenly screams at the boys to run, but an unseen force pulls them backward. They're completely paralyzed, unable to move. A voice echoes, disappointed in its creation. A heavy foot slams into the ground. The group looks up in utter shock. A cloaked figure emerges from a red aura. Fran's eyes widen in horrified recognition. The figure is furious his child was destroyed. He calls humans ugly, deceitful creatures. She questions his words, demanding his identity. The hooded man just raises a single finger. A wave of pressure slams them to the ground. They're pinned down, crushed by immense gravity. This power is on a whole different level. Even the mighty Fran is completely outmatched. But Kenneth grits his teeth, aiming his gun. The figure casually deflects the shot. Dark energy shatters Kenneth's arm. He decides to remake them all, but stronger. His gaze falls upon the demon's remains. The bloody chunks begin to levitate. They swirl into a vortex of flesh and bone, and descend directly upon a helpless Ryuka. Ryuka watches in absolute horror. A grotesque creature takes form. The creator watches his new child emerge. It immediately targets the helpless Fran. She's lifted into the air, completely powerless. The creature's grip tightens around her face. Its brain splits open, revealing a fanged mouth. It prepares to devour her whole. Ryuka can only watch, frozen in terror. He realizes his mentor is about to die. He remembers her promise to protect them all. He recalls her faith in his potential. A desperate scream erupts in a blast of fire. The sudden power catches everyone by surprise. Ryuka's body erupts with raw, untamed energy. His face twists into a manic, powerful grin. The others can only stare in disbelief. He gathers a ball of destructive power and unleashes it with a furious roar. The blast engulfs the brain-like monster. Fran is thrown clear, saved at the last second. Ryuka stands panting in his new form. Tears stream down his face, his power blazing. He rises, transformed by his own rage. But the creator of the monster simply watches. The power fades and Ryuka collapses to the ground. The hooded figure is intrigued by what he sees. He's amazed Ryuka could move under his gravity field. With a gesture, he forces the kid to his knees. He lifts Ryuka, sensing his otherworldly flame. The creator steps forward, his interest piqued. He instantly closes the distance, grabbing Ryuka's face. He peers deep into the boy's very soul. A vision of a vast cosmic entity appears. The creator realizes Ryuka has a pact with a god. He sees the traumatic memory of the covenant. The otherworldly god accepted a terrible sacrifice. A deal was struck in a moment of despair. But Ryuka's power suddenly erupts from his chest. The creator is blasted back, caught off guard. Ryuka glares, telling him to shut up. He forces the creator's hands from his face and unleashes another point-blank energy wave. The hooded figure is thrown to the ground. Ryuka uses the opening to get some distance, but the exertion is too much. He passes out. The battlefield falls silent, everyone is down. His allies can only ask, did he win? His ally catches her breath, surveying the scene. The hooded creator lies motionless on the ground. She rushes forward to deliver the final blow, but her attack reveals only a strange, empty puppet. The real enemy was controlling it remotely. They hurry to Ryuka's side, calling his name. She confirms he's only unconscious, not dead. But her mind is now on their true foe, the man who was creating these powerful fiends. A human possessing such terrifying, world-bending strength. A horrifying realization begins to dawn on her. She knows his name, the magic master, ruler Tempest. Elsewhere in the peaceful town of Tempest Ashi, a young girl calls out to her sleeping master. A man with long white hair rests on a couch. He slowly stirs, a book falling from his face. The girl scolds him for lazing around all day. He simply holds onto his book, unbothered. He was just having a very interesting dream. He found something exciting, his heart still pounding. With a flick of his wrist, he pours himself tea. He takes a calm, satisfied sip. The villain agrees it's a beautiful day, but the sky itself seems to crack before him. The villain senses something fun is about to happen. His allies race to get Ryuka to the royal capital. He remains unconscious, the battle having taken its toll. He dreams of the dark pact he made, and the terrible price he willingly offered. They finally arrive at the capital's grand castle, but Ryuka awakens to an interrogation. He's in the underground headquarters of the Night Order. Commander Grift declares his contract a violation of their laws, but Vice Commander Jack sees him as a useful weapon. He recalls the immense power Ryuka unleashed. Commander Kieran agrees he's an asset but dismisses the report. Vice Commander Gavin argues the risk is far too great. He claims uncertain elements only sow chaos. His judgment is cold and absolute. The commanders are divided on what to do with Ryuka. A masked figure removes their helmet to speak. They turn to Fran, the witness, for her testimony. The ally from the battlefield looks deeply troubled. She admits only Ryuka could face their foe. Without him, they would all have been killed. She clenches her fist, a deep fear taking hold. But she questions if he can control his own power. Her eyes widen, recalling a terrifying rumor. She's heard he collapses after using his power. Gavin questions if that can be called control. The commanders watch over the unconscious boy. Commander Kieran seems to understand the problem. They must test his control and his worth. His allies can only watch and wait. Kieran asks Gavin what would convince him. The cold commander weighs his options. He proposes a deadly test, the guarded flame. His friends are horrified by the suggestion. The decision is made. Jack begins to heal him. They are sending him straight into hell. Kieran smiles, telling him to patch Ryuka up. Our boy sleeps, unaware of the trial ahead, but his dreams are anything but peaceful. A voice taunts him about his otherworldly contract. A crimson hellscape floods his mind. The entity mocks the terrible price he paid. His sacrifice echoes in the bloody vision. It calls him disgusting, a monster. He screams, jolting awake from the nightmare. He finds himself in a strange, quiet room. A man in a uniform greets him calmly. He reveals Ryuka has been asleep for a while. Ryuka asks about the man who was with him. His ally looks away, a faint blush on his cheek. Our boy is confused by his strange reaction. He finally thanks Ryuka for saving them all. Ryuka is taken aback by the sincerity. He can't believe the stoic man was worried. A small, teasing smile breaks across his face. Flustered, the man turns and leaves the room. But just as he leaves, another figure enters. Branch Commander Kieran stands before them. He's here to discuss Ryuka's future. A decision has already been made. He will undergo the trial of the guarded flame. His friend is absolutely horrified by the news. Ryuka doesn't understand what the trial is. His ally protests, calling it reckless for a rookie, but Kieran declares he is administering the test. Ryuka asks if passing makes him an official knight. His friend explains it's a trial for executive candidates, a test that requires nominations from commanders. He screams that for Ryuka, it's a death sentence. The weight of the situation finally hits our boy. Kieran confirms the danger, warning him. Of those who fail, a third go completely insane. Kieran's warning is simple: fail and you die. He must be prepared to die in order to live. His friend watches, filled with dread. Ryuka considers the impossible choice, but he knows this is the only home he has left. He'll risk his life and give it his all. 5 days later, the trial begins. Kieran explains the trial has 2 parts. First, he must survive in this cave for 3 days. Ryuka asks about the second part. Kieran turns, presenting a mysterious object. He holds out a simple, unlit candle. He tells Ryuka to pour his power into it. The candle ignites with a violent burst of flame. The second task, protect that flame for 3 days. Our boy is stunned by the strange condition. Kieran reveals the terrible catch. The flame will attract every monster nearby. His final words are a simple plea: don't die. The trial of the guarded flame begins. Ryuka ventures deep into the dark cavern. The candle is his only source of light. The air is thick, making it hard to breathe. He recalls Kieran's words about the dense magic. The cave's dense magic attracts countless monsters. He remembers Kieran's 2 simple tasks. First, survive in this cavern for 3 days. A monster appears, reminding him of the second task. He must protect the candle's flame at all costs. Letting it go out is not an option. And if the candle itself burns out, he fails. He unleashes a powerful energy slash. Ryuka cuts down the first creature. The monster is sliced clean in 2, but his attack had an unintended side effect. The candle's flame suddenly erupts. It burns his own power as its fuel. He struggles to reduce the energy output. He forces himself to calm down. The flame finally returns to a normal size. He just has to last until a bell rings. 3 days of this constant pressure. But the light is already drawing more creatures, and they are getting much bigger. Succeed and he becomes a knight. But if he cannot, the only outcome is death. From every shadow, hungry eyes are watching. But his struggle is being watched from afar. 2 figures observe his trial through a scrying pool. The younger one looks on with deep concern. He remains silent, his worry showing. He believes this trial is impossible for Ryuka, but the blue-haired knight has a different view. The commander ordered this test to appease others. Certain members of the order demanded proof. The knight crosses his arms, considering the situation. He looks back at the pool with a sharp gaze. He has a feeling the kid will pull through. Meanwhile, Ryuka dodges a barrage of attacks. He knows playing defense will only lead to ruin, so he decides on a much riskier strategy. He pours his power into the candle's flame. A blinding light floods the dark cavern. The sudden flare startles every nearby creature. From the depths, they all begin to swarm. His plan: draw every last monster to him, and then finish them all in one go. The horde closes in, a tide of claws and teeth. Ryuka unleashes a desperate final scream. A violent explosion of energy erupts from his body. The blast consumes everything in its path. The cavern is scorched by his raw power. A crazed, triumphant grin spreads across his face. The observers are stunned by his gambit. The younger knight questions his reckless strategy, but the all-or-nothing attack took its toll. The blue-haired knight, however, is impressed. He admits the kid's plan is incredible, but his confidence suddenly vanishes. He plunges his hand into the scrying pool. An impossible foe has appeared in the cave. Ryuka collapses, completely spent from the blast. A scarred blonde man watches from the shadows. The knight knows exactly who's responsible. Meanwhile, Ryuka catches his breath, candle in hand. He thinks the worst is finally over, but a sudden red beam slices the air. It erupts into a massive explosion. He turns, completely caught off guard. A colossal figure steps out of the darkness. It's a mechanical, spider-like creature. 6 arms, 6 blades, ready for slaughter. Our boy can only stare in disbelief. The knight confirms his worst fears. That creature is a legendary berserach. The knight reveals it's a Knight Order weapon, a prototype designed for monster subjugation. He furiously accuses the man on the other end. He demands to know what he was thinking, but the scarred man is completely unbothered. He claims the cave was just a convenient test site. The knight clenches his fist, not buying it. He forbids them from interfering in the test. If Ryuka can't survive this, he's useless to them. The knight grits his teeth, his hands tied. The call ends, the decision is final. A knock sounds at his office door. A maid enters carrying a tea service. He recognizes her as the branch head in disguise. She serves him tea with a pleasant smile. She notes he seems to be in a good mood. He doesn't deny it, sipping his tea. He watches Ryuka's struggle in a golden mirror. Back in the cave, the assault is relentless. Ryuka leaps away from another deadly blast. He gathers what little energy he has left. He hurls it directly at the mechanical beast. He lands, panting from the effort, but his expression turns to pure shock. The mechanical beast is completely unharmed. Ryuka stares, wondering why his attack failed. A cold dread begins to settle in his eyes. His only light source is a single, flickering candle. A voice cries out a warning as the beast lunges. He barely dodges another searing laser blast. Its targeting system tracks his every move. He knows he can't afford to waste his candles. Besides, his fire attacks are completely useless. Cornered and out of options, he dodges again. He hits the ground, scrambling for any cover. Exhausted, he faces his relentless pursuer. The machine just watches, its single eye glowing. He has to think there must be a weakness. A tense standoff fills the cavern air. The distance between them feels immense. He realizes the machine has stopped attacking. He takes one step and a laser erupts at his feet. The blast sends him flying backward. As it charges again, a realization hits him. It's not seeing him, it's sensing his movement. If that's the case, he has an idea. He stands perfectly still, a defiant target. The machine hesitates, its laser failing to fire. He channels a ball of pure energy. He hurls it away from the machine. The beast's head swivels, tracking the new motion. It fires its laser at the decoy. The beam slices through its own smaller drones. The plan works, it's targeting itself. Ryuka seizes the opening, rushing forward. He lets out a final, furious battle cry. He smashes his fist into the machine's head. The impact shatters its central eye. He grabs a handful of its internal wiring. With a final pull, he rips out its core. The machine lets out a dying screech. Ryuka stands over the defeated automaton. A close-up shows the damage is fatal. He looks at the mess of wires in his hand. Bruised and bloody, he has passed the test. Elsewhere, a cloaked figure watches through a scrying mirror. A sinister smile spreads across his face. He praises Ryuka's impressive victory, but he notes the weapon needs more work. He casually dumps a dozen sugar cubes into his tea. He chugs the sickeningly sweet drink. The man dismisses his maid, his thoughts elsewhere. He dismisses the machine as mere insurance. The real test is the cave itself. He sneers at the determined young fighter. Meanwhile, Ryuka rests in the desolate cavern. He clutches a single, flickering candle. He wonders if the test is over yet. His time and energy are running out. Suddenly, a strange sound catches his attention. The remains of a monster seem to twitch. A grotesque piece of flesh begins to rise. It's not his imagination, it's coming for him. The scattered monster parts start to reform. They merge into a new, hideous beast. He's surrounded by regenerating monsters. The cave's dense magic fuels their rebirth. Just then, he hears the sound of a bell. He remembers his instructions, survive with the candle. With renewed purpose, he makes a break for it. His only goal is to escape this nightmare. But the darkness teems with hungry eyes. Creatures of all shapes emerge to block his path. He must protect the fragile flame at all costs. They swarm him, a tide of claws and teeth. Cornered, he prepares for one last stand. He grits his teeth for a final, desperate charge. Ahead, a sliver of light, the exit. But a monster's claw tears through his back. He screams but refuses to fall. Just a few more steps to freedom. His hand reaches for the world outside. The horde closes in, ready to devour him. His eyes widen in sheer terror. A voice from the light yells, "Get down." A flash of blue energy slices over his head, obliterating the monsters in a single strike. Ryuka looks up from the ground, stunned. A warrior stands over him, declaring the test is over. The man drags him out of the hellish cave. Ryuka stares at the candle, asking if he passed. His body finally gives out from exhaustion. The warrior catches him before he hits the ground. He looks down at the boy with a soft gaze. Yes, he says, you endured well. Ryuka finally succumbs to the darkness. He wakes up with a sudden gasp. He's sitting on a throne in a vast, empty hall. A voice explains this is the ceremonial chamber. A smug, red-haired man in a blue suit appears. The man introduces himself as Commander Arthur. Ryuka is surrounded by the Order's elite members. He learns this is his rite of passage. The knights will reveal their vows to trust him. A captain vows to never take a family. Another warrior steps into the circle. A captain vows to forsake all food for life. A vice captain vows to never tell a lie. Another captain dedicates his right arm to God. A vice captain vows to remain a virgin forever. Ryuka is stunned by their extreme sacrifices. The weight of their devotion is overwhelming. The vice commander vows he will never sleep. His tired eyes burn with conviction. His shields vow never forgive a traitor. Our boy feels the pressure of their expectations. Arthur finally introduces himself as the commander. He raises a brilliant, holy sword to the sky. He prepares to state his own sacred vow. Ryuka watches, completely in awe of the man. The commander's vow is to renounce gender. Now they demand Ryuka reveal his own vow. It is his turn to prove his trust. The entire order stares, waiting for his answer. Ryuka stammers, completely at a loss for words. A memory flashes through his mind. A powerful tattooed figure erupts in energy. The order's members watch him, judging. The vision leaves him stunned and confused. He introduces himself to the silent order. He struggles to find the right words, but he admits he doesn't have a vow. He doesn't even understand his own power. A dark presence whispers he gave it up, but he promises to earn their trust. He vows to become strong enough to save everyone. He must find strength to protect life. The commander accepts his resolve as a vow. Ryuka is taken completely by surprise. Arthur officially welcomes him into the order. Our boy can't believe what he's hearing. The other knights cheer in approval. He stands tall, now a member. The reality of it finally sinks in. As the ceremony ends, Arthur walks away. But one member questions the decision. The dissenter is a man named Gavan. Arthur reminds him that passing was the only rule. Arthur argues the boy's honesty is proof of trust, but Gavan insists his irregularity is a danger. He fears what this could mean for the order. Arthur speaks of the boy's mysterious flame, a power that grows stronger when he faces death. Gavan is left utterly speechless. Meanwhile, other new recruits celebrate their success. A train travels through the sunlit countryside. An announcement marks the start of a 2-hour trip. The passengers are told to enjoy the journey. In the knight's carriage, the mood is relaxed. A white-haired recruit is glowing with pride. He thinks his days of being pathetic are over. He leans back, sure life is on easy mode now. A woman brings refreshments as a gift. He eagerly takes a tray, then worries about money. But she explains it's a special gift for knights. He's amazed at the perks of his new job. Another knight tells him nothing is truly free. He knocks on the table to make his point. Vice Captain Jack says they pay with their lives. The kid is stunned by the grim reality. This sacrifice is why the people respect them. He takes it in, then starts eating his sandwich. The blonde knight laughs, calling the kid an amusing pup. Another recruit asks why they're heading west. The veteran knight smirks, ready to explain. Monster activity is surging in the western territories. They've been called in as reinforcements. The kid understands but has another question. He asks the vice captain why he's on this trip. His captain ordered him to watch the new recruits back. The kid looks completely unimpressed by this. He turns to the blonde knight with a personal question. He asks if vowing to be a virgin actually counts. The knight is flustered by the sudden inquiry. He laughs, saying that vow wouldn't work for a kid. The value of a sacrifice is deeply personal. What matters is how precious the offering is to you. He brings up another knight, Fran, who gave up food. For her, food must have held a much deeper meaning. The kid starts to understand the weight of their vows. He thinks of the red-haired commander and her vow to give up her gender. The blonde knight calls her a true princess. The vice captain explains the commander is always royalty. She inherited the position after her half-brother died. For a pampered princess, that vow was a huge sacrifice. The kid finally understands the sacrifice. Her vow was the source of her incredible power. Suddenly, the vice captain grabs his face. He warns him never to pry into another's vow. The blonde knight advises him to wait to be told. The door to their train car slides open. A conductor enters, tipping his cap. He formally welcomes the Sacred Order Knights. The conductor introduces himself as Duga. The server freezes at the sound of that name. She turns, a look of disbelief on her face. The conductor stands ominously at the door, but a monstrous eye glares from the shadows. The conductor's body suddenly twists and breaks. A wave of killing intent hits the knights. The blonde knight yanks them out of the way. Spikes erupt from the floor where they just sat. The conductor reveals his monstrous lower half. The entire car is a blood-soaked death trap. Our boy can only stare in disbelief. All around them, knights are impaled and killed. One survivor clutches his arm, bleeding out. He screams as his body begins to transform. The knight dissolves into a small, blue creature. The kid rushes to help the transformed knight, but the vice captain turns with a sharp warning. He screams at the kid to stay back. Too late, the creature lunges right at him. Its arm whips down in a deadly arc, but a hand intercepts the lethal blow. The blonde knight sends the monster flying. He realizes the knight has become a demon. The transformation completes into a hulking fiend. A voice confirms his worst fears. The conductor's body speaks, a puppet for Duga. He serves a master known as Lord Tempest. The true Duga, a tattooed giant, emerges. He vows to personally guide them to their deaths. The surviving knights steel themselves for a fight. Duga looms at the end of the blood-soaked car. The vice captain recognizes this fiendish power. He realizes their foe is the legendary Mangas. The name alone strikes terror into his heart. Suddenly, the kid clutches his bleeding arm. He stumbles as another knight falls from above. A gas-masked knight executes a transformed comrade. The vice captain spins around, gun raised. He takes aim at the true enemy, Duga. But a new fighter arrives, unleashing a golden light. He summons a tiny fairy using divine arts. The little creature zips towards the injured kid. She grabs his severed arm, vowing to heal it. The limb painfully begins to reattach. A brilliant light envelops our boy's body. The healing power surges through him. He stares in disbelief at his restored arm. The wound has vanished without a trace. The gas-masked knight observes the divine power. He notes the impressive skills of the knights, but their strength is ultimately meaningless. A fatal wound appears on another knight's body. Duga grins, revealing his cruel trap. A sudden explosion sends the survivors flying. They're caught completely off guard by the blast. Their own comrades, now fiends, descend upon them. The vice captain can barely track their movements. Their fiendish forms grant them immense power. The gas-masked knight watches from a distance. He warns that the chaos will soon spread. The kid grabs one of the fiend's arms. He tries to reason with his former comrade, but the monster only responds with a roar. He desperately screams for his friend to wake up. A blade suddenly impales the fiend's skull, but another fiend's hand closes in on his face. The blonde knight warns him, fiends can't be saved. He lectures the boy on a knight's true duty, a lesson he should have learned long ago. To protect the people, comrades must be sacrificed. He gives the kid a harsh ultimatum. If he can't make that choice, he must live. His resolve is absolute, his gaze cold. The vice captain orders our boy to protect the civilians. A terrified girl is trapped in the corner. He immediately grabs her, pulling her to safety. He pulls her out of the blood-soaked room. They race down the train car aisle. He screams a warning to the other passengers. He urges them to evacuate to the rear cars. The passengers react with shock and disbelief. His warning sends everyone into a frantic panic. A stampede of terrified civilians floods the aisle. He tries to direct the chaotic evacuation, but a mother and her children are frozen in fear. They're paralyzed by terror, unable to move. Suddenly, an explosion rips through the train car. The mother and her children scream in pure terror. A four-armed fiend emerges from the smoke. The children cry out for their mother, but a knight stands before them as a shield. He remembers the knight order's true duty is to protect the people. He channels immense power into his blade. He swears he won't let them be harmed. A blinding flash of energy erupts from his sword. The blast rips the entire train car in half. The other knights are stunned by the raw power. The vice captain can't believe what he's seeing. That guy detached the entire car. The long-haired swordsman lands back among them, but a new, powerful enemy takes notice. The detached car falls away from the main train. The family is left behind, safe from the fight. The knight believes the civilians are now secure. The villain remarks on his unexpected strength. The knight tells the monster to shut his mouth. His eyes burn with rage, he's going to kill him. The bald villain simply gives a condescending smile. He offers a mock apology for the interruption. He claims he prepared a special welcome. The villain smirks, his welcome was insufficient. Rinko's rage boils over, his body glowing. His blonde comrade holds him back, telling him to wait. He points to the trap, charging in is suicide. The dead are sprouting into monstrous limbs. The blonde knight declares a race to the kill. The villain watches with a smug expression, but all the knights are burning with fury. The villain finds their anger quite amusing. He muses that he might actually get killed. The corpses begin to rise at his command. He's going to make their former comrades fight for him now. The blonde knight leaps in, blocking a huge limb. He prepares a swift counterattack. He vaults over the appendage to strike. A flash of green light slices it apart. The vice captain unleashes an energy blast. A snake-like creature grabs another knight. Rinko is ensnared by a grotesque monster. He roars, refusing to be held back. A blast of pink energy obliterates the fiend. The villain seems a little concerned now. He notes the sheer force of the frontal assault. The villain notes this new knight might be different. The warrior roars, vowing to take his head. His fury is met with a cold, confident smirk. He lunges, carving through a shadow beast. But the villain has already vanished. He sprints down the hall, screaming in frustration. He refuses to let his target escape. He skids to a halt. The corridor is empty. He wonders if the villain actually fled, but he knows it's impossible to escape that quickly. A sudden, terrifying realization dawns. He follows a blood trail to a nearby door. Cautiously, he peers into the compartment. Inside, the train's conductor lies wounded. The man is still breathing, barely alive. He assumes this must be the real conductor. He rushes to the man's side, trying to help. The wounded man can only groan in response. He prepares a healing spell to save him, but a sudden movement freezes him in place. A blade erupts from his chest, impaling them both. The wounded man gasps, not from pain, but from pure sadistic pleasure. The villain reveals his disguise with a manic laugh. He swings wildly, ignoring the blade in his chest. The villain mocks him for being a gullible fool. The warrior grits his teeth, fighting the pain. The fiend reveals his brother taught him this trick. A strange purple form rises from the floor. It solidifies into a second, larger villain. The newcomer smirks with cold, cruel confidence. The smaller fiend hops onto his brother's shoulder. Bleeding out, the warrior vows to kill them both. But a single blow sends him flying back. His eyes widen in utter disbelief. The villain holds him up, calling him an idiot. They are the fiend brothers, Duga and Dalsai. He realizes the real conductor is still missing. Dalsai cackles that they threw him out the window. His partner arrives, screaming his name, Jack. She catches Jack's body as he collapses. She glares at the fiends with pure hatred. Duga mocks them, tapping his head smugly. He boasts that even officer knights can be outsmarted. Suddenly, a flash of pink light cuts the air. Duga's eyes widen, barely dodging the attack. The blast severs Dalsai's arm from his body. The smaller fiend lets out an agonized scream. A new warrior appears, mocking their officer rank. He vows to take the fiend's head himself. Down the hall, another knight tends to Jack. He panics, shouting that the wound is too deep. A tiny spirit-like girl appears, ready to help. She unleashes a powerful wave of healing light. But the healing is slow while Jack is unconscious. Dalsai's severed arm begins to gruesomely regenerate. Duga scoffs at the human's sudden arrogance. He notes they now face two executive-class knights. Dalsai grins, eager for the coming fight. With a single blast, they tear open the roof. Duga suggests they take this fight outside. He gives a chilling, confident smile. The fiends leap out through the massive hole. The long-haired knight watches them go, annoyed. He tells his partner to guard the passengers. The uniformed knight agrees to protect them. The warrior demands to know their true goal. Duga's only mission is to kill the knights. He serves a master and must stop their journey. The warrior latches onto the word west. He asks what their master is doing out west. The fiend says he won't live to find out. Duga declares this is where they will die. The warrior's markings glow, ready for the fight. He notes the sudden, unnatural darkness. A swarm of monstrous bats descends upon him. He identifies them as corrupted creatures. He carves through the horde with his blade. A confident smirk crosses his face, but the screeching swarm is relentless. He knows they won't stop without a controller. The sheer number of bats begins to overwhelm him. Suddenly, a massive green blast clears the sky. The warrior looks on in complete surprise. His partner stands on the roof, gun smoking. The uniformed knight has his back. He warns the warrior not to fight alone. The warrior just gives a knowing smile. Duga prepares for his own grand attack. He screams that their journey ends now. In a flash, the fiend's head is gone. The warrior moves faster than the eye can see. He stands over the body, unimpressed. His partner is stunned by the incredible speed. Then the warrior grabs his partner's head. He slams him down as Duga's eye glows below. A blue tendril strikes where the knight just was. Duga's eye screams, asking how he knew. The warrior crushes the eye, mocking the fiend's plan. Elsewhere, the knight's sister is held captive, but she calmly states her trust in her brother. She remembers him promising to handle everything. Another memory shows them relying on each other. Back in the present, Duga's eye widens in terror. The sister's eye flares with pink energy. She unleashes her power, markings glowing brightly. Her captor is stunned by her sudden strength. She flips the massive man over her shoulder and slams him into the ground with incredible force. He screams as she grips his face, crushing it. She asks how it feels to be killed by a rookie. The dying man calls out for someone named Tempest. A massive cannon emerges from a dark tunnel. The man's head is completely obliterated. His body dissolves, lamenting his failure. He hopes for forgiveness in his final moments. The warrior gives a casual thumbs up to his partner. He stands over the last of the enemy's remains. The corrupted flesh dissolves into nothing. Suddenly, a boy with white hair appears. The boy's eyes widen in utter disbelief. He finds himself on a train in a vast desert. A powerful figure stands on the tracks ahead. His companion shouts a warning from below. He leans out the window of the speeding train. His face is etched with sudden alarm. The figure on the tracks is a warrior with a crystal hammer. She is Bridget, the 6th branch commander. She calmly raises her immense weapon and smashes it into the ground with incredible force. A massive wave of ice erupts from the impact. The glacial wall rushes towards the train. The boys stare in shock as the ice closes in. The entire train is frozen solid, stopped in its tracks. Commander Bridget boards the train, searching the corridors. She walks past the boys, demanding something from her men. She slaps a subordinate awake with a powerful blow. Bridget demands an immediate situation report. The dazed man senses a strange, familiar feeling. The commander repeats her order, her patience wearing thin. He finally recognizes her, shouting in shock. He asks why Her Highness is here. The two boys are just as stunned, calling her Big Sis. The entire group now stands outside in the desert. The boys are still reeling from the reveal. He wonders about this Jack and the commander. A powerful man named Jack finally appears. He begins to explain the dire situation. The reinforcements were all turned into demons. A dying man gave them one name, Demon Sorcerer Tempest. The name hangs heavy in the air. Jack's gaze is sharp and focused. Bridget orders her men to report the annihilation. They must also protect the surviving civilians. Jack forms a small team to pursue the sorcerer. Our boy remembers the dangerous figure from the train. His companion prepares to explain the legend. He was a mythic figure who summoned the Demon King, the man responsible for turning humans into demons. The kids' eyes burn with a new intensity. Their destination is a temple sealed under the desert. They travel by sandskiff, racing to the temple. He thought heavenly demons were just fairy tales, but his companion confirms they are very real. Jack explains their origin, pieces of the Demon King. These fragments brought ruin upon the world. One controlled the weather, summoning storms of lightning. Another burned cities to ash with unstoppable fire. A third demon summoned great floods from nothing. And another tore the very earth apart. The ancient knights could only seal them away. But the sealed demons still corrupt the land. A woman with white braids explains their plight. The sealed water demon created this desert. The boys listen, the tension rising. She confirms they encountered a demon creator. She links the train attacker to the sorcerer Tempest. Tempest, the one who summoned the Demon King. This combination could trigger a new disaster. Suddenly, our boy senses a presence. The sorcerer is already waiting for them. Their sandskiff races across the dunes. They are about to arrive at the temple, but something erupts from the sand below. The ground opens up, swallowing them whole. They fall into a sudden dark abyss. A blood-red moon hangs in the sky. He looks up, a strange familiarity washing over him. A nostalgic voice echoes in his mind. His eyes widen as the voice speaks. He questions the voice inside his head. The entire team plummets into the chasm. Below them, the temple rises from the sand. He realizes it's their destination. Someone lands gracefully on the highest spire. The boy tumbles through the air, helpless. A party popper explodes with confetti. He lands, greeted by an unnervingly cheerful voice. The sorcerer recalls their last meeting via puppet. The boy freezes, the memory clicking into place. A sinister grin fills his vision. He finally names his foe, Tempest. The demon sorcerer smirks, his plan in motion. Our hero's eyes widen in disbelief. Suddenly, a knight attacks with a crystal hammer. Tempest dodges, holding their guide hostage. The knight lands with a powerful shockwave. Tempest mocks the knights for their predictable violence. The knight demands the sorcerer identify himself. The woman with braids warns Tempest to leave. She orders him to abandon this sacred place, but the sorcerer flatly refuses. He claims his experiments have finally borne fruit. Today is the day his work is complete. Against the red moon, rain begins to fall. The woman realizes the impossible is happening. Tempest grins, revealing he's already resurrected it. He names the heavenly demon of water, Lord Vebel. A strange presence fills the temple courtyard. The knights and their guides stare in horror. Our hero watches as a small figure emerges. A shackled, pink-haired demon girl appears, yawning. She looks utterly bored by her own resurrection. Tempest greets the legendary demon, Lord Vebel. He kneels, apologizing for her centuries-long slumber. He kisses her hand, a glowing sigil on her skin. He commands her to kill the knight's descendants. A fist connects squarely with his face. The tiny demon girl just decked the sorcerer. Everyone is completely stunned by the turn of events. She scolds him for waking her from a nice nap. Tempest is left speechless by her defiance. The knight admits this isn't what he expected. A commander warns them not to drop their guard. He senses a demonic power that could doom them all. If she is unleashed, humanity is finished. The demon girl seems to notice their fear. Our boy can only watch, caught in the middle. In a flash, she launches herself forward. She appears right in the knight's face. She looks at the knight, calling him Acheron. The knight is completely bewildered by her words. High above, a new figure confronts his brother. Vebel claims Acheron was resurrected in a human body. He struggles to understand what she means. His eyes widen as a terrible truth hits him. On the towers, the two mysterious men face off. The long-haired man sensed a god's power from him. The other man sweats, clearly caught. A massive energy beam destroys the spire. He leaps to safety, narrowly avoiding the blast. The attacker sarcastically calls their meeting a coincidence. Down below, Vebel decides to join the chaos. She launches herself at the long-haired man. She hurls a body at him, yelling, "Catch." A wicked grin spreads across her face. He catches the body, only to be impaled from behind. The knight Acheron screams his ally's name, Bridget. The wounded Bridget calls for his comrade, Jack. Jack in turn summons another teammate, Neve. A small girl appears in a flash of light. Golden energy surges through an ally's arm. But Vebel strikes first, smashing Bridget down. He's caught completely by surprise. The small girl tells Vebel to play with her instead. Her comrade Jack opens fire with twin pistols. The energy blast strikes, but she's unimpressed. Annoyed, she dismisses them as a mere nuisance. Neve floats into the air, gathering immense power. The energy condenses into a swirling vortex. She unleashes 3 floating spirits on her foes. Her summoned creatures overwhelm the fighters below. Watching from afar, a man marvels at her power. He's a dedicated fan, watching from a decorated balcony. His young companion notes his cheerful demeanor. He says he always dreamed of seeing a heavenly demon fight. He's ecstatic to have a front row seat. He finds it fascinating a demon awoke as a human. Their viewing is over, they head to a temple. Suddenly, a brilliant light fills the sky. A colossal, ornate sword pierces the heavens. He sighs, recognizing the arrival of trouble. A red-haired woman stands atop the massive blade. She apologizes for the chaos her subordinate caused. With a smirk, she asks if they are ready. The observer meets her gaze with a knowing smile. Below, the summoned spirits continue their rampage. Vebel's brother approaches the woman on the sword. The commander asks Kieran to hold out for 3 minutes. His mission, stall the heavenly demon. Meanwhile, the observer prepares to make his move. He interrupts a demon sorcerer's departure. A red-haired warrior draws a glowing sword. He asks if she will repent and stand down. He and his companions stand within a magic circle. With a sly grin, he politely declines. He lunges forward in a blur of red energy. The warrior is surprised by his sudden attack. Their powers collide in a brilliant explosion. 2 comets of energy streak across the sky. Below, Kieran and his ally leap into the fray. He tells his partner Laika the plan. They must hold off the demon for 3 minutes. The 2 fighters brace for the coming onslaught. Neve's summoned spirits descend upon them. Kieran meets the attack with grim determination. Laika is immediately struck across the face. Suddenly, a new ally joins the battle. He activates a wide-range healing spell. Laika is shocked as his wound vanishes. The healer tells them to fight without fear. A 4th fighter powers up, joining the assault. A massive wave of water magic erupts. Kieran is stunned by the incredible power. The water splits into countless projectiles. Neve scoffs at the incoming attack, but the water blasts surge towards him. They shatter his flame defense with ease. A second volley of energy stars follows. The 4th ally reveals himself, taking aim. He warns Neve not to overexert himself. After all, fire and water don't mix. Neve's confidence begins to waver. Another fighter summons a crackling thunder spear. He unleashes a torrent of lightning. A 3rd warrior calls forth a hammer of ice. She commands it to freeze everything solid. The ground shatters under the icy impact. The water spirit Koinhin is caught off guard. It dismisses them as annoying pests, but a calm voice declares that's enough. The heavenly demon recalls his spirit. Koinhin is pulled into a vortex of water. The spirit emerges, transformed and empowered. The allies realize the real fight is beginning. The heavenly demon prepares for battle. The heavenly demon's eyes narrow with strain. A voice from his past calls out to him. He desperately tries to shut it out. He asserts his identity as a divine knight. His spirit Koinhin looks on, confused. Then a wicked, knowing smile spreads its face. The heavenly demon roars, "Don't look at me." His composure is completely shattered. Below, his allies watch in confusion. He clutches his head, tormented by his own mind. His comrade shouts his name, Laika. But Laika is hearing a strange voice in his head. He demands to know who is speaking to him. A dark echo of himself appears in his mind. It taunts him, promising power to defeat his foes. The fourth ally suddenly clutches his head in pain, but the Thunder Spear user charges forward. A blood-red moon forms behind the water spirit. Koinhin dives down with a gleeful smile. The fourth ally unleashes a barrage of energy. The blasts connect but do absolutely nothing. He's suddenly trapped inside a water prison. Koinhin smashes right through the bubble and sends the ally flying. The hammer wielder swings his massive crystal weapon. A huge shockwave of ice erupts from the impact, but Koinhin catches the hammer with a single hand. The wielder stares in complete disbelief. The spirit casually forms a ball of water energy. It unleashes a blast that sends its opponent flying. The blonde ally rushes to his side, calling him princess. The princess tells him to just focus on healing. His comrade grimly accepts the command. Meanwhile, the fourth ally is writhing in pain. He clutches his head, screaming that it's splitting open. A strange power erupts that he can't control. He looks up to see Koinhin floating before him. The spirit lunges forward, phasing through his body. The ally's eyes glow with shock and terror. Koinhin flashes a truly wicked smile. A glowing blue sigil forms on its palm. It slams the mark directly into the ally's chest. His eyes are wide with absolute horror. He's sent flying as his friend shouts his name, Ryuka. The blonde ally knows his auto-healing won't be enough. He summons his own spirit, a tiny girl named Neve. He orders her to unleash her maximum healing output. Ryuka groans in agony as the light envelops him. Koinhin looks down upon the battlefield. The spirit scoffs, completely unimpressed. It tells a furious warrior he's grown weaker. A dark voice whispers that it's finally its turn. The warrior's eyes glow with a sinister power. He fights a voice demanding he surrender his body. He screams, refusing to yield to this unknown entity. He denies his identity as a celestial demon. Elsewhere, a white-haired man dodges energy blasts. He mocks his attacker's persistence, but a red-haired swordsman appears, vowing revenge. He dives in for a lightning-fast strike. His blade connects, slicing through his target. The white-haired man's legs are severed instantly. He's shocked by his foe's cold-blooded attack. The swordsman knows he can't let him revive the other demons. The white-haired man smiles, accepting the challenge. He asks if they're both thinking the same thing. The swordsman worries about his comrades waiting for him. His resolve hardens in a single glance. His foe offers a cruel choice: fight or save his friends. The swordsman smirks, promising to do both. He unleashes a storm of glowing swords from the sky. It's a devastating technique, Morrigan's Reign of Judgment. The white-haired man is utterly obliterated by the attack. His disembodied head admits it will take time to recover. He concedes that Arthur has successfully bought some time. With a final "see you around," his essence implodes. Arthur watches, his expression cold and determined. He immediately turns back toward his comrades. He streaks through the sky at blinding speed. His only thought is getting back to the fight. The entire encounter took less than 3 minutes, but his eyes widen in horror at what he finds. He arrives to a scene of total devastation. One of his allies lies dead on the ground. Another is motionless in a pool of their own blood. What he sees is a single, terrifying figure. A celestial demon stands among his fallen comrades.